Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We shall read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19. The appearance of Shukadev Goswami. And I think we will read verses 15 and 16. Tamopayatam pratiyantu vipra Ganga chadevi Britachitam nishe Dvijo pasrishta kurkastakshakota Dashatvalam gayata Vishnu gata. O Brahmins, this is Maharaj Parikshit speaking. O Brahmins, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahmin created, bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. And I'll read verse 16. Well, there's a little purport here, let me just read it. As soon as one is given up completely unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, he is not at all afraid of death. The atmosphere created by the presence of great devotees of the Lord on the bank of the Ganges, and Maharaj Parikshit's complete acceptance of the Lord's lotus feet, was sufficient guarantee to the king for going back to Godhead. He thus became absolutely free from all fear of death. Punaschabuyad bhagavatyanante rati prasangash cha tadashrayeshu mahatsuyam yam upiyami srishtim maitriyastu sarvatra namo dvijaya. Again, offering obeisances unto all you Brahmins, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. That a devotee of the Lord is the only perfect living being is explained herein by Maharaj Parikshit. A devotee of the Lord is no one's enemy, although there may be many enemies of a devotee. A devotee of the Lord does not like to associate with non-devotees, although he has no enmity with them. He desires association with the devotees of the Lord. This is perfectly natural, because birds of the same feather mix together. And the most important function of a devotee is to have complete attachment for Lord Sri Krishna, the Father of all living beings. As a good son of the Father behaves in a friendly way with all his other brothers, so also the devotee of the Lord, being a good son of the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna, sees all other living beings in relation with the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstart sons of the Father to a saner stage, and to get them to accept the Supreme Fatherhood of God. Maharaj Parikshit was certainly going back to Godhead, but even if he were not to go back, He prayed for a pattern of life which is the most perfect way in the material world. A pure devotee does not desire the company of a personality as great as Brahma, but he prefers the association of a petty living being, provided he is a devotee of the Lord. I'll read the verses again. Tamopaya tampriyanta vibragangata devijata chitta vishe dvijos pasrishta kurkas takshakova dashatvalangayata vishnuvata. O Brahmins, please O Brahmins, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way. For I've already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahmin created, bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. Panaschabuyad Bhagavatyanante, Rati Prasangas Chatadashreshu, Mahatsuyam Yamupiyami Srishtim, Maitriyastu Sarvatra Namo Dvijaya. Again offering my obeisances unto all you Brahmins, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Kinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pastrityadi Shinarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are two very beautiful verses in Srimad Bhagavatam at a very crucial point in the development of the book. Shukadeva Goswami has just appeared just a little while ago and been trained in Srimad Bhagavatam by his father Srila Vyasadeva, and Maharaj Parikshit has just been cursed to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird by Shringi, an unqualified young boy born in a Brahmin family who was really lacking in discrimination, discretion, and maturity, intelligence, lacking in so many ways. But still, he had some power because of his birth, because of his upbringing, certain amount of training. There had not been very much training, but some had been there. So he had developed some Brahma Tejas, some Brahminical power, some. So therefore, he was able to curse. And if he cursed someone, that person would not be able to escape the terms of the curse. But at the same time, he didn't have the discrimination to know what to do with his power. And certainly cursing, I don't know if any of you have the power to curse. I don't expect it, because that's something special. But cursing generally means anger, not always, but generally. And anger is something very dangerous, extremely dangerous. and particularly if somehow or other something just happens, and we just become just very disturbed on the spot, and then we become a little carried away and angry and retaliate or somehow or other respond to however we've been mistreated or however we think we've been mistreated. So we have to be very, very careful and not curse. Not curse. Yeah. So anyway, Shringi, the son of Shamakarishi, he did curse. He didn't have that discrimination to know when to curse and when not. And when to curse, well, that would be quite rare, really. But certainly he didn't have that discrimination. So he cursed Maharaj Parikshit, even though what Maharaj Parikshit had done was not worthy of such a reaction, but he did. So as soon as Maharaj Parikshit heard about this, then actually what happened was Shamakarishi, the father of Shringi, he came and told Maharaj Parikshit, my son has cursed you to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. Shamakarishi, he was a highly qualified and extremely powerful Brahmin and a devotee. So he offered to Maharaj Parikshit, if you want, I will withdraw the curse completely. I can do that. If you want, and then you just carry on. Life will go back to normal. But, and you can imagine, perhaps you can imagine, if somehow or other you got cursed by some powerful person, if Devasa Muni appeared here, and one of his favorite activities is cursing people. So, if that happened and we got cursed, and we knew that the curse will happen, and then someone came and said, we can withdraw the curse, well, I think many of us would say, okay, I surrender. If you can do that, please do. But not Maharaj Parikshit. No. He had the opportunity. But he thought and he said, no, this is not really the right thing, because I can understand it is the will of the Lord. These very drastic things do not happen in the life, at least of a very serious devotee, unless it is the will of Krishna. Yes. And Krishna is always watching the devotees. He's watching you. He's watching Mataji. He's watching you. He's watching you. And you. And you. And he's watching you too. Even though you're relatively newer. And he's watching Mataji Purnima. And he's watching all of us. Yeah. At least the serious devotees, Krishna is always watching. And Krishna is always thinking, what can I do with this devotee which will really help the devotee? help the devotee become a better devotee by becoming more detached from material existence and material enjoyment like that, and become more attached to Krishna himself and serving him, and Krishna's thinking to how can I help this devotee, these devotees from flak, become happier. Krishna's thinking, he's thinking like this. And on the basis of that thinking, he's making different arrangements. And on the material level, sometimes we may think that something which Krishna arranges, it may be some difficulty, some challenge. We may think, oh, this is very bad. This is not mercy. This is just some misfortune for me. We may think like that because that is the way people think in this material world. If God is going to be merciful, he will give me materially beneficial things. That will be the sign of his mercy. But it's not necessarily the case. And Maharaj Parikshit was thinking like that. He was not thinking, wait a minute, I'm a devotee. Krishna's meant to look after me. Yes. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, my devotee never perishes. But look at my situation. It's some dramatic thing has happened and it looks bad. So Krishna, what's going on? You're not doing your job properly. You're meant to be helping the devotee. But then later we find that whatever it was actually Krishna's mercy and helping us in some way to progress. We told the story the other night, you remember? 2 nights ago about the king. Right? His thumb got cut, the top of his thumb got cut off. And he thought, this is not Krishna's mercy. This is a disaster. But as it worked out, it became clear that it was Krishna's mercy very much. You remember that story? Remember? He got arrested. The minister said, when he cut his thumb, part of his thumb off, the minister said, oh, it's Krishna's mercy. And the king said, what do you mean Krishna's mercy? Look at my thumb, it's damaged. You nonsense, he had him locked up in jail. And a few days later the king went hunting again. He got arrested by some natives. And they were going to offer him as a human sacrifice to Kali. And the king was really not happy. But then they inspected his body, because you can only offer, proper things in these types of ceremonies. And they saw, look, he's missing part of his thumb. His body is not complete. So they let him go. And he went back and released the minister and apologized. You were right, it was Krishna's mercy. I lost my thumb. You were so right. And I'm such a nonsense, I had you locked up, I'm so sorry. And the minister, what did the minister say? He said, no, it was Krishna's mercy. Because if I had been with you, I would have been arrested too. They would not have sacrificed you because part of your thumb's missing, but with my body, nothing is missing. They would have sacrificed me. So it really was Krishna's mercy that you locked me up. Although most people would think this is some injustice or mistreatment, and Krishna is not doing his job. And even our little Gauranga here, Gauranga, good boy, he's got this infection in his eyelid, and it's not nice, you can see. I assume it must be uncomfortable for him. So people will generally say, oh, poor little boy. Oh, the heart melts. But it's also Krishna's mercy for him. And later, he'll understand it more than he may now. So Maharaj Parikshit is such an amazing devotee. Even in such a situation, he's offered the possibility. We can remove the curse. You can just carry on as the king and just living a luxurious life and so on. Maharaj Parikshit said, no. It's the will of the Lord. I must accept it. The Lord is calling me. He's calling me. He wants me to come back to him sooner than I expected. And sometimes it happens. Devotees have some car accident and then, they die before they would have died if they just lived into their old age and just died of natural causes. Sometimes devotees die in an accident, sometimes they get some extremely serious disease and they die or become incapacitated. And on the material level, the tendency always is to think, someone dies in a car accident, oh, that's terrible, poor person. He could have lived on for another 20, 30, 40 years or so, but he died, oh, shame. But in this sort of situation, generally, we take it and we encourage others to take it. Krishna was calling the person. Either Krishna was calling the person to go back to Godhead and come to him like that, or else Krishna was calling the person into the person's next lifetime where they would have much better opportunity for becoming Krishna conscious. Because sometimes you see, devotees, they have some serious chronic disease or even some psychological disease or problems and things like this. And it's, even though they're devotees, it's very difficult for them. And they can't really be like normal devotees. So it happens sometimes Krishna just takes them away so they can get into a better situation and continue on making progress. So Maharaj Parikshit's exalted state of mind can be seen here very nicely in these two verses. My dear Brahmins, my dear devotees, please accept me as a soul surrendered to you. In other words, please give me shelter, please give me mercy. I'm just placing myself at your lotus. And may Mother Ganges, they were sitting by the Ganges, may she also accept me like that. And then he says, let the snake bird come and bite me now. I don't care. Let the snake bird bite me at once. But all I want is you continue singing the glories of the Lord. That's all. That's all. So this is the case for a very exalted, pure devotee like Maharaj Parikshit, that it doesn't matter. He can die now, he can die in the future, he could die any time. Makes no difference. He's always fully absorbed in consciousness of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, you may know, spoke about 4 types of people in regards to when they might die or not die. What would be good for them, what would not. So first, Prabhupada talked about a prince who's very opulent and not a devotee, just a materialist. So he is just living it up, so to speak. Degraded existence, all facility available. In other words, so much sinful activities going on and so much karma is accumulating. So this one sage met the prince. This is how Prabhupada explains. And the sage he blessed the prince, may you live and not die. Because you're living now, you're living the high life and just enjoying life. You're happy, basically, materially. So he said, just live on, don't die. Because when you die, the karma from all the intoxication, illicit sex, etc., etc., all the karma, generally a person's karma comes to them in the next life. Generally not so much in the current life. So the prince, when the prince dies and is reborn, all that bad karma will come. He will suffer. So the sage said, live and don't die. Then he met a butcher. And he blessed the butcher. You don't live and you don't die. Don't live, don't die. Because look at the way you're living. Killing the innocent animals. And Prabhupada's explaining, and he's very emotional. He says, see the ghastly scene. Blood-stained cloth. So it's not worth living such a life. And when he dies, and the karma comes, it's going to be too much. Just total devastation. So don't live and don't die. And then he met a brahmachari, a devotee, fully celibate young man, fully dedicated to full-time Krishna consciousness. A brahmachari. And he cursed him, he blessed him. He blessed him, don't live, die. Don't live, die. Because now, as a brahmachari, a young celibate student living under the shelter of the guru and focused in Krishna consciousness very strongly, if you die now, you're remembering Krishna. You'll go back to Godhead immediately. That's good. But if you live and you don't die, if you just live on, then, generally people after some time, they become married. And then there's the family. And you have to work hard. And you can't just focus on your spiritual life so completely. Maybe some of you can, consider that point. And it becomes hectic. and difficult to really focus spiritually. So if you die under those conditions, oh, who knows what your future will be. So the sage blessed the brahmachari. Don't live, die now. Then the sage met the fourth person, was a great pure devotee of the Lord. And that sage blessed the great devotee. You live or you die as you like. As you like. Live, die, I leave it up to you. Because the great pure devotee like Maharaj Parikshit is always completely Krishna conscious. And it doesn't matter what is the situation, if it is materially good, materially bad, or it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. He's fully Krishna conscious. So while he's living, he's with Krishna. And whenever he dies, he'll just go to Krishna. It's okay. And even now, he's with Krishna. Doesn't have to go back to Goloka Vrindavan to be with Krishna. He's with Krishna right now, today. So you live or you die, it's up to you. So Maharaj Parikshit, he feels like that. He feels, this is the will of the Lord, because the Lord wants to call me back to him. So let the snake bird come right now. Let him come. The only thing I'm concerned about is that all of you devotees assembled here, you all just go on chanting the holy names, telling different pastimes, and 24 hours a day, completely focused in Krishna consciousness and just giving me Krishna consciousness. That's all. Don't start talking politics. Don't start talking how much is this and how much is that, and oh, you got a television like mine. How much did you pay? Where did you get it from? Or where did you get that sari? Is that a Pierre Cardin shirt? Please don't talk about things like that. Just talk about Krishna. That's all. And let the snake bird come. Let him come. Come on. And then I'll go to Krishna. It's his will. Fine. Then in the second verse, it's also very, very nice. He, because he's very humble devotee, he's not just assuming, oh, I'll go back to Godhead, no problem. He is considering that he's thinking, well, I don't know. What's going to happen to me? I'd like to go back to Godhead. I'll try my best. But who knows? This is the material world. So in that regard, he says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahman's person. You understand that? Graciously overtaken me? Yes. So he prays. I pray that if I should take birth again in the material world, he prays for three things. I'll be completely attached to Krishna. I'll have the association of the devotees. And I'll have friendly relationships with all living entities. That's all. I don't need lots of money. I don't need comforts. I don't need popularity. I don't even need to go back to Godhead. I just want to be fixed in Krishna consciousness, in the association of devotees, and to be able to have nice relations with other living entities. So this is a very nice prayer. It's something that we can also adopt as our prayer, one of our prayers, because we don't know when we'll die, and we don't know where we will go when we die. We really don't know. We don't know. And one of the reasons we don't know is because sometimes we may not be so Krishna conscious. We tend to go up and down. I don't know about you, but we see many devotees tend to go up and down, and even sometimes they start contemplating material life and thinking, if I was not a devotee, what would I do? It happens sometimes. I could do this, I could do that. So in that sense, we are not really so qualified, actually. We have shortcomings. So we don't know. Maybe we'll have to take birth again. Maybe. But if we do, then we should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit and present this prayer. Let me have complete attachment to Krishna. Nice association with his devotees and friendly relations with others. That's all. I don't need money, etc., etc. Just let me have those things, and otherwise be fully engaged in the service of the Lord. It is practically, it's certainly one of the last requests of Maharaj Parikshit, in a general sense. You know, in some countries where they have capital punishment, death penalty, in some of those places, the prisoner who's going to be executed, the night before he's executed, he is offered his last meal, and they will allow, he can ask for anything, and they'll get it for him. Even some super luxurious food. His last meal. So, in other words, what's his last wish? So this is Maharaj Parikshit's last wish. First part, can I go back to Godhead if possible? I would be so happy. But if not, let me be completely attached to Krishna in the association of his devotees and have friendly relations with all the other living entities. Just let it be like that. That's it. Even birth after birth. So like this, we can learn from these verses and purports, and try to adopt some of these ideas in our lives. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
I want to know what is the proper mood you should adopt when you have difficulties in life, or when you have a disease, or you are in a very difficult situation.
I see. Basically, we should understand this is a test from Krishna. This is a test from Krishna, and I must not become bewildered and just panic and, become like that. But I must try to see what does Krishna want me to do in this situation? What does he want me to learn? These types of things. Now, how to find out or get some ideas what we should do, why Krishna has sent this test. In order to develop our understanding, of course, we should pray. We should pray. But if it's really a serious situation, we should not just pray. We should take shelter of the devotee. Suitable devotees, not just anyone. Like the spiritual master, if it's possible. Or if it's not possible somehow, at least, some very, very senior devotee who understands you and who cares about you. Yeah, so some senior devotee, or could be more than one, but you don't want to start getting too many opinions. It can be confusing. So at least, one suitable person who in the past has helped us, and in this way we trust them and we have faith that they're genuine and they really want to help us, and that their advice is generally suitable, effective. So that's really the idea. But the first step is, don't panic. Don't hit the panic button, the red button, and blow everything up. Don't do that. Stay cool, understanding it's a special arrangement of Krishna, and I must deal with it very carefully. So I'd say that's the basic idea. And then, if you do like that, then as the whole situation develops, you'll gradually see more and more what lessons you should learn, what you should do to deal with the problem. All these different things will become more clear. And then next time, because this is the material world, what goes around comes around. So things tend to happen again, something similar. It's like you catch a cold. Everybody catches a cold sometimes. But then if you have a good doctor, you can learn how to deal with it. So the next time, you can be more ready. Yeah. So as we go through whatever's the particular situation, if we've really taken shelter and if we're really dealing with it nicely, then we'll be able to tell what lessons I should learn. It'll become so clear. And then next time, like next time you get a cold, you may not even need to go to the doctor, because just get this drug and that drug and change my program in this way, and in a few days, yeah. So if we really learn from the tests, then when a similar test arises, it may not be exactly the same, but something related, then we'll be much more ready for it in Krishna consciousness. Is that okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki. Siksha. Are you going to give us some siksha? Hare Krishna. Are you going to give us some siksha? You understand? Give us some instructions. Tell us how to chant better. You know what your name means, right? Anyway, Hare Krishna, nice to see you. Really? Thank you so much. You're very nice. Yes, you are good. Have a nice day at school. Very well. See what a nice devotee she is.